In my home state, the requirement is that every new home built in 2020 must generate more energy than it produces. That's by making it efficient and by installing solar or small wind or a boiler in a small apartment complex so they can use the waste, urban waste, and use that for energy generation. Our office buildings have to have this target of net energy generation by 2030, and the assessment in California and in Nicaragua and in Costa Rica and in South Africa is that this is a way not just to offset new fossil fuel use, but in fact will save money. So this is a superior option in terms of diversifying the mix. The other part of the story, and this is something that my laboratory has been working on for some time. We wrote one of our early reports in 2004. We produced a new report for the Copenhagen meeting. In fact, I co-authored this with the chief operating officer for the world's largest wind company based in Denmark. What we find over and over again is that investing in energy efficiency, improved boilers, solar, biomass, these technologies generate far more jobs per megawatt of final energy than in new generation capacity in gas or in coal. That is not to say that gas or coal are anything wrong on this front, but when you're building a new sector, there's many more jobs generated. And in fact, the United States and China and Brazil and South Africa have all looked at this as the largest new growth in their economies. In the report, we've detailed, and I will not go through it now, examination of the hourly demand in Sabah. We've looked at the demand over the months to see how much does it vary month by month. All of this is in the report. The conclusion is the following. If your time horizon is only to look at the immediate cost, the cost tomorrow, or the day the plant opens, that over the next few years, a coal plant would be the least cost option if all you looked at was the immediate economics of that plant. No environmental issues, no job creation, if you only looked in the very, very short term. The problem is fossil fuel power plants, and really any power plant, will be an investment you make today, but you will have for decades. If we look even as soon as 2020, we find that just the cost, none of these environmental or social issues, but just on a cost basis, that in a very short time, the economic advantage of that option is trivially small. In fact, a plan of developing the palm oil resources we heard discussed, in developing the small and medium scale hydro plants, in developing geothermal, those options put together have a price that is essentially the same as coal, with none of the environmental risks that come with a very large scale coal development. Now, I say this not to argue for one technology over another. I say this to highlight the pure economic story. Everywhere in the world that has been looking at energy options, from fossil fuel to renewable options, has faced the same challenge that you face here. And that is, if the view is, how can we meet a need for energy, say 300 megawatts, if we think about this in terms of one technology must generate almost all or all of that energy, you come with one set of conclusions. If you look at the diversity of options that are available here, we find a very different story. 60 megawatts from geothermal, 30 to 40 megawatts from hydro, 50 to 100 megawatts from biomass. Energy efficiency, saving 1/3 of the energy by improving to higher pressure boilers right away, investing in energy efficient options for homes and businesses. That package may sound more difficult to think about all at once. It's more things to balance and more things to look at the same time. But the places in both industrial and developing nations that have taken on that larger package, that larger set of energy options at once, have not only found they frequently do not need the large-scale fossil development, but they generate far more jobs, and they do not addict themselves to long-term requirements to buy fossil fuels, whether it is imported from Kalimantan or from Australia or China. Those are guaranteed ways to require a province or a nation to send hard currency abroad when those same investments could be made in local development. And that's really the critical part of the story.
Can you conclude?
I have concluded.